Right, so with sketching trigonometric graphs, again, it's the exact same steps as we've been doing. So if you've not watched the videos about the steps for transforming graphs, I would go back and watch that and then kind of watch from there. So when we're sketching trigonometric graphs, it's again very similar to the ones we've been doing, like I was saying, but we need to know kind of the important points that we start with, so that's where we're going to go. So if we have a sine graph that's not being transformed in any way at all, we have our points, which are our origins. So we've got 0, 0. We know we've got the point at 90 and 1. We've got the point here, which is 180, 0. We've got 270 minus 1. And then again, we get the 360 and 0. Okay, so the 360, 0 one you don't really need to be too worried about, because you can just add 360 onto whatever you get for your 0, 0, or if you've got a different period of your graph, like you've got 3 graphs in 360 or whatever they've asked you to do, you just add that amount onto each of your values. Okay, but so for a sine graph, the points we're going to work with are going to be 0, 0, 90, 1, which can also be pi over 2, 1, if we're working in radians. 0, 0 stays the same in radians. Where you have 180, 0, or pi, 0. And then the last one that we work with is 270 minus 1, or in radians that would be 3 pi over 2 and minus 1. Okay, the other graph that we work with, we don't do transformations of the tan graph usually, so don't worry about that too much. You should know like the kind of basics of a tan graph, but not so much for this. So we've got 0, 1, we've got 90, 0, we've got 180 minus 1, and we've got 270, 0. And then obviously we have the 360 and the 1 again, but again, you can just start with the one at the 0, 1 coordinate and kind of add onto that. So we've got 0, 1, which in radians is still 0, 1. We have 90, 0, which in radians is pi over 2 and 0. We've got 180 and minus 1, and that is pi and minus 1. And then we've got 270, 0, which is 3 pi over 2 and 0. Okay, so those are the coordinates that we start with to work with for transforming these graphs. So let's get on to doing a couple of transformations with them. Right, okay, so the graph we are going to sketch first is f of x equals 2 sine 3x minus 60 degrees plus 5. Okay, so there's quite a few steps to this one, but as always, it's just going through and taking the points you've got and moving them. So because it's a sine graph and we're working in degrees, we know our original points would have been 0, 0, 90, and 1, 180 and 0, and 270 and minus 1. Okay? This graph, the bit in here, remember if you've got a multiplier and a value in there, you've got to take out a kind of common factor. So you get 3x minus 20. Okay, before you can kind of do the what that does to it. Okay, so let's go with transforming our points. So remember BODMAS for the order in which we do these. So the first thing we look at is the brackets. Okay, so that 3 in there means we have to not multiply as we kind of would think, but because it's in the brackets with the x, it does the opposite of what we think. So that 3 means we have to divide our x by 3. Okay, so we're going to have 0, 0. We are going to have 31. And when we divide 180 by 3, we are going to get 60 and 0. And then we are going to get 90 and minus 1. Okay, so we've done this bit. Now we need to do the second bit, which is to take away 20, but it's not. It's the opposite, so it's plus 20 to the x. Because remember, when it's in the bracket, it does the opposite. So we're going to get 20, 0. We have 51. We have 80, 0. And we've got 110 and minus 1. So we've done those 2 bits now. Okay, so then it's still following BODMAS, multiply next. So we multiply the y by 2. So we're going to get 20, 0. We've got 50, 2. We've got 80, 0. And we've got 110 and minus 2. And then we do this bit where we add 5 to the y. So we get 20 and 5. We've got 50 and we have 7. We've got 80 and 5. And we're going to have 110. And we will have 3. Okay, so we've done all the steps we need to do. So we need to draw this graph. Again, try and draw the shape first, and then kind of go from there with putting in your axes. So we've got a sine graph. So it looks kind of roughly like this. Okay, so what should have been our 0, 0, which is here, is now at 25. Okay, so this is where things get a bit more complicated for drawing our graph. So we can just put the point on as 25. We know that this one up here is 57. We have 80 and 5. We've got 110 and 5. Okay. Our graph, we know it's kind of going to have to keep going a little bit because that's 20. So we're going to have to put our y-axis in there. And our x-axis, that's not, I don't know why I put a 5 there, that should be a 3. But we know that our x-axis is down here. Okay, and we know that it's going to kind of cross somewhere there. Okay, don't be too worried about sketching the trigonometric graphs so accurately. It can be quite difficult because there are a lot of points and the graphs are quite tricky to draw. Okay, but that is the end of our sketching graphs. We've done logarithms, we've done exponentials, we've done functions. Okay, we should be getting to the point where remembering what all these things do is second nature. If you don't remember them, go back, watch the videos again. Okay, so we'll be moving on to our next topic.